It's now over a year since the last time we filmed in the house. We're now back on the final stages, which involves putting complete renewable heating systems in and also doing a few odds and ends that were left over, like for example replacing the windows in the ground floor of the house. Behind me here is the biofuel boiler, which is a multi-fuel boiler and connected to the central heating and hot water system. And beneath me is the floor, which has been completely relaid. In contrast to the other rooms in the house, what we've done is go right back to the brickwork, right back to the joists, and then put a brand new ceiling in, including Victorian plasterwork covings, which do look rather good. It is essential that there's good ventilation under the floor and to the cellar. That makes it cold. So between the cellar and the ground floor, we need to have good insulation. On the back of the door to the cellar, you can see the thickness of insulation that is installed at minimum under this floor. So here we are back in the attic bedroom beneath the dormer window, after I've installed the full range of renewable technologies to minimise the energy I have to take from the national grid. Above me, on top of the dormer window, is solar water heating, which will generate plenty of hot water through the summer months and even through the winter. Behind me on the back extension are the solar PV panels, which generate electricity for my use and to feed into the national grid when I generate more than I need. Solar photovoltaic panels generate direct current electricity, and that then has to be fed to an inverter, which turns it into the alternating current that makes domestic appliances work and can be fed into the national grid.
I'm Oliver Rimmer of Elemental Systems. We've installed the 3 renewable heat systems at Peter's house. We have a heat exchanger which integrates the 2 heat sources of the gas boiler and the log stove in one place. We have the solar thermal pump station here, which is drawing down heat from the evacuated tubes on the roof. We have the new twin coil cylinder for the solar, much larger than a usual domestic cylinder, to allow the solar to heat the maximum capacity of water and allow for more than a day's supply. And also allows a cool zone at the bottom, even if the boiler has run, to heat the water effectively in a cool zone. We have expansion vessels for the various systems, the hot water, the central heating and the solar thermal. We've got the original gas boiler. Okay, as you can see, we have removed one side of this cupboard. Peter's going to extend this to encompass all the cylinder, put it all in one cupboard.
More and more people are realising the advantage of a stove in a home. It's a lovely focus, but you'll never get maximum benefit from a stove unless you use a back boiler with it. The Dursley Yorkshire, which I have installed, is the only stove which is both cleared for use in a smoke control area and has a back boiler attached. What that means is that while I'm burning wood, and I can burn smokeless fuel as well, it should keep the whole house warm, but it's also generating hot water that goes into the hot water system and the central heating system to keep warm the bits of the house that the heat from the stove will not meet. We ran the flue from the stove as far as we could within the existing chimney, so as to minimise the visual impact on the square. In London, wood-burning stoves are only really good for the environment if you have a ready supply of timber on your doorstep. As I explained earlier, we clip back the trees in the square on an annual basis, and that will be my basic source of fuel. But in addition, I'll be relying on offcuts from local timber yards and indeed from the wood that we've taken out of the house during its refurbishment. I'm in the loft of the back addition now. The solar photovoltaic panels are directly above me. And on my right is the inverter, which takes the direct current from the roof and converts into alternating current to power appliances around the house and to feed back into the national grid. Hidden away under part of the back addition roof, we have the manifold, which mixes hot and cold water to ensure the water going around the underfloor heating system is at the correct temperature. The underfloor heating is controlled by thermostats in each of the rooms, and the system operates at lower water temperatures than you would have in a traditional radiator system. And it's essential, if you're going to use a low temperature water heating system, then the house is well insulated because it can't respond so quickly to changes in the external temperature. Underfloor heating is not of itself an energy saving measure, but having gone to the effort of lifting the floors and insulated the house, it seemed an added bonus to put in the comfort of underfloor heating. On completion, the electrical works in the cellar comprise the new RCD and also the meter which monitors the amount of electricity generated by the panels on the roof and provides the meter reading that I have to give back to my energy supplier every 3 months. All the electricity and cables now are hidden away in trunking, and above my head is a smoke alarm detector. The fire officer asked me to put that in because, having created effective separation between the different floors, it's important that if a fire did break out, we would have prior warning in the other floors because it would take quite some time to break through. I've returned to the front room, where you've previously seen us install both the wall insulation and the underfloor insulation. The crowning glory for this room came when I reinstalled the sash windows into the front bay. This was an extensive job. The sash windows are double glazed with glass units full of argon gas, and then around it I've reinstated the shutters and the panels. Some of them were here before, some of them I've recovered from other houses where they were being taken out, and then we've had to put in a little bit of new timber to bring it all together. Windows are often a problem for insulation because there's not a lot of space around the window, and often that creates a cold bridge, so that's where you get the condensation. At the back of the boxes which take the shutters, there was a very narrow space for me to fit any insulation. So there I used this, a material called aerogel, an expensive silica-based insulant that's very, very effective but also quite expensive. At £80 a metre you wouldn't use it throughout the house, but it is worth it in some places around windows to prevent those cold bridges. If you do decide that you want to save on your heating bills and help to save the planet, I'd say there's 3 things you need to do. Firstly, it's a good idea to have a vision of what your house will look like when it's all finished, so that every time you do major works like changing kitchen units, damp proofing, that sort of thing, you can make sure that the changes are compliant with the final goal. Then secondly, ensure that at every stage along the way you're maximising insulation and maximising draft proofing, so the money you spend on heating is spent on your house and not heating the atmosphere outside. And then lastly, take a look at the renewable heating systems that you can install and try and take advantage of what nature has to offer all the year round. In my case, that means using biofuels in winter and solar water heating primarily in summer. If you do go ahead with works, I really would recommend that you visit someone like myself who's been there and done it, who can tell you what the challenges are and help you to overcome them. And if you do want to get in touch with me, please do so.